Czechs refuse to attend UN Security Council meeting called by Russia. The Hill. The Czech Republic is refusing to attend an emergency United Nations Security Council meeting that as called by Russia, arguing Moscow was responsible for the nearly two-year war in Ukraine. We refuse to be summoned anywhere by Russia. Czechia will not serve the lie-poisoned propaganda of the aggressor, Czech Foreign Minister Jan Lipavsky wrote in. Below are your comments. The US was restraining Ukraine from attacking Russian cities. Apparently our influence is waning. Unfortunately, Ukraine has to take the fight to Russia, whose citizens are virtually unaffected by the chaos in Ukraine. Let the Russian power plants and infrastructure be destroyed like in Ukraine. The Czech Republic is relatively safe. Russia would have to go through Poland to attack it. It's an excellent nation to beef up military contracts such as 155mm shells. Investing in the Czech Republic is the smart thing to do. How laughable that Russia is concerned about the rules of war after essentially destroying Ukraine. And bleeped thousands of civilians without being provoked. They are lucky Ukraine has been restrained by not being able to use weapons from the West to attack more of Russia. That's some audacious behavior right there. Russia calling a council meeting to complain about the country that they're illegally and immorally invading, getting the tools to defend themselves. Let me see if I got this right. Russia can attack Ukraine cities and civilians at will, and Ukraine is bad for attacking military targets in Russia. Also, Czech Republic is bad for supplying weapons to Ukraine, but it's all right for Russia to get weapons from China, Iran, and N. Somet. Next news. Russia has sentenced more than 200 captured Ukrainian fighters so far, Lavrov. Reuters. Russian courts have sentenced more than 200 Ukrainian fighters to prison terms since Moscow started its military operation in Ukraine, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said in an interview with the Stat.ria news agency published on Sunday. The courts of the Russian Federation have already sentenced more than 200 representatives of Ukraine and armed formations to long terms of imprisonment for committing atrocities, Lavrov told RIA. Both sides accuse each other of committing numerous atrocities. Below are your comments. They attack a sovereign nation and then accused and jail their people for fighting back? NATO should send 1% of their military budget to Ukraine and not hold back the heavy guns. Ukrainians have the will to fight, so give them the weapons. We will remember what Russia has done. No amount of propaganda or denials can hide the war crimes Russia has done. Social media will be full of video evidence documenting Russian war crimes. Future generations will know why Russia will be treated accordingly and how it went from being a superpower To sentence a prisoner of war looks like a joke. Or perhaps rejecting a very special operation is a crime. Sentenced them for defending their country. I don't want any politician on the ballot that encourages their people to go to the Capitol and chaz congressmen and senators through the halls of Congress. Sorry, that's not presidential material. Raise your expectations, MAGA, trying to whitewash your sins. You're trying to legitimize what you did. Next news. Russia launches fresh drone strikes in Ukraine after promising retaliation for Belgorod attack. Associated Press. Russia launched a fresh drone assault on Ukraine after promising that strikes on the Russian border city of Belgorod that bleeped 24 people Saturday would not go unpunished. The Ukrainian Air Force said Sunday that it had shot down 21 of 49 drones launched by Russian forces overnight. The retaliatory Russian attack wounded 28 people in the eastern Ukrainian city of Kharkiv, regional Gov. Ole Sinyhubov said. Below are your comments. This crime will not go unpunished, the Russian ministry says. Ironic statement given the fact that Russia invaded Ukraine in the first place. Russia, Putin, Peskov has always called Ukrainian attacks on military targets as terrorists' attacks and Ukraine as a world sponsor of terrorism. Yet, Russia always attacks civilian targets, shopping, theater, apartments, parks, hospitals, schools, and that is considered fine. Ukraine has the rig. Russian forces directed by dictator Putin are the aggressors. Ukrainian military and civilian defenders are fighting to protect their people and their sovereign homeland. Putin's war will continue until Russia withdraws from all of Ukraine and end their war, which began in 2014. So the Russians conduct an 18-hour bombardment in Ukraine. Ukraine follows with a coordinated drone strike in Belgorod. Russians then retaliate, claiming Ukraine isn't fighting fair. Tears of joy. Russia invaded Ukraine, and now it is threatening to retaliate? That makes no sense. Ukraine is the one retaliating. Next news. Zelensky speaks of war, Putin makes passing reference in contrasting New Year speeches. Reuters. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky honored his people's resilience in times of bloodshed in a low and lyrical New Year speech, while Russian leader Vladimir Putin stressed his country's unity in a short and stern message that made only passing reference to the war. The speech's traditional deck. 31 messages in both Russia and Ukraine came as both countries marked the end of the year with increased air attacks on each other's territories. The major result of the year, its main achievement. Below are your comments. This dangerous and fratricidal war needs to end soon. Both sides to the war must compromise their positions to bring about peace in the center of Europe. The fault for the war lies with Russia, the aggressor, but the UN cannot settle this war, only the erring sides. Send all these clowns to the front lines and see how long the war lasts. Hopefully this year will be the last for Putin. I ask that we take time out of our celebrations and spare a thought for the people of Ukraine and people of Israel and Gaza. Putin continues to lie and deny. Zelensky continues to courageously lead his nation against all odds. And in America, the traitorous Republicans continue to undermine freedom and democracy worldwide by siding with Russia over Ukraine. Meanwhile, Russia and Israel continue to commit war crimes. Next news. Lithuanian foreign minister warns West against repeating mistakes and urges not to wait for another Pearl Harbor. Ukrainska Pravda. Lithuanian Foreign Minister Gabrielius Landsbergis believes the West is on the verge of repeating historical mistakes by supporting Ukraine insufficiently in its fight against Russian aggression and has warned against waiting for a Pearl Harbor effect. Below are your comments. War or negotiations, all efforts are always postponement of wars. There is no such thing as final war. Putin says he is at war with NATO all the time, and their national media has been saying for the last year to strike NATO first. And while the world screams for Israel to halt their attacks for 3 months, it remains silent to deaths of civilians in Ukraine for 2 years? Amazing how the world exactly forces all Russia understands. We could have ended this at the start. It is well past time to stop having Ukraine deal with this with one hand tied behind their back. Give them what's needed to stop this aggression or suffer the consequences. Why is it that almost everyone wants get on the good guys to stop fighting and they have nothing to say for the ones who started it? That like never saying anything to a bully in school but get on to the ones the bully fight. Next news. Ukraine, Russia accuse each other of early New Year's Day attacks. Reuters. 13 people were also injured in heavy shelling by Ukrainian forces on the center of Donetsk. Denys Pushilin, the Russian-appointed head of the broader Donetsk region of which the Donetsk city is the administrative center, wrote on the Telegram messaging app. At least 1 person was bleep and 9 injured in a Russian drone attack on the Ukrainian southern port of Odessa. Ole Kuiper, governor of the Odessa region, said on Telegram. Below are your comments. News flash. They are at war. They are both expected to be attacking unless there is an agreed upon ceasefire. A high-precision missile strike on the building formerly housing the Kharkiv Palace Hotel eliminated representatives of the main intelligence directorate and the armed forces of Ukraine, who were directly involved in the planning and execution of the terrorist attack in. When you do B. It is very peculiar. Russia attack always bleep only 1 person. However, when the Ukrainian attack AD Ozan of Russian civilian bleep. Who writes these articles? It is normal to attack one's enemies in wartime. Next news. Russia calls for UN Security Council meeting. CNN. Russia called for an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council to censure Ukraine after an attack on Russian soil. Barbie Nadeau reports on what was said at that meeting. Below are your comments. Who made it a rule that Russia can attack Ukraine with impunity, at any time, but it's wrong for Ukraine to strike back? If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. I think we should give Ukraine the means to strike deep within Russia territory and take off the By all means, let Russia call a meeting of the UN Security Council. Then ask them why they are ceaselessly bombing civilians, not engaging an army. Ah, poor baby doesn't like how it feels to be attacked on their own turf. You started this mess and can end it by pulling your military out of Ukraine. It's that simple. Why would Russia bomb Ukraine and then be surprised when Ukraine shot back in self-defense? Any country would do this. Yes, the Council should meet and give Ukraine a round of applause. Please subscribe to my channel. And if you like it, please thumbs up.